So how many of you use or have used social media tools? Like, okay, like Facebook, Twitter, everyone, I guess. How many of you share details of their everyday life online? Like, you know, silly comments, like the one I've read the other day, someone is telling their friends on Facebook that they're gonna shower now. I mean, really, Niel, now that you're gonna shower, challenges. Okay, so also, next question, how many of you have considered starting a blog or have already one? Okay, I see, not bad, that's not bad. Okay, so my story began once upon a time in Jemaize. You know, back then, everything started in Jemaize for some reason, the good and the bad stuff. I was having a few drinks with a friend, and he was telling me how he crashed his concierge's mobilette in a pole. There was a huge parking lot, and he crashed it in the only pole there. I found it funny. Of course, it sounded funnier after a few drinks, but so we were talking and we thought, let's come up with something where we can share our everyday adventures online, because we go out a lot, and share our opinions with the Lebanese, especially with our friends and family outside. We decided, let's come up with a blog, and the next, where, you know, we do all that. So the next part was figuring out a name for the blog. Okay, so at first, we came out with the craziest names. Like, we started with, I don't know, honestly, we started with Manusha and Banadura and Shumaken and those stuff. Then it took us a few weeks before we came up with Blog Baladi. Okay, next step was designing the blog and, you know, the banner. My friend Mark, who posts also, took care of that. I mean, if you look at the banner, I don't know how he did it. Maybe he was drunk or something. He took شقفة كرتونة خزقة, he wrote the blog's name and سعرها رخيص كمان. And it looked nice, so we went along and we started the blog. We got the blog running. Now, after it took us some time to set up the blog, the hardest part was finding something interesting to say every time we post and doing it regularly. Of course, we kept politics away from the blog because it didn't interest us at all, and we wanted to keep to have a positive impact on society. So, you know, politics doesn't do that. Of course, unless they're fighting on live TVs, and we definitely share it and have a laugh. And it happened twice this year. Okay, the next step, the first 3 months were very frustrating, because we'd spend hours working on a post, a very informative post, you know, very useful. I'd do some research and post it and be proud of myself. And then no one ends up reading or commenting. While if I post about, like, you know, I know, Faraya Lingerie, for example, show, or some girl showing her boobs on Star Academy, you get everyone interested and reading. So that was a bit frustrating, but personally for me, it wasn't, it didn't discourage me, because I knew it would take time to get a bigger exposure and a higher number of visitors, and especially because I was proud of the work I was pulling. I got comfortable with blogging, and the blog became part of my life. I was obsessed with getting new stories, getting pictures, something that's happening in Lebanon. Even this obsession reached a stage where one time my friend called me and he was like, you know, I just had a big accident. I'm like, yeah, all I could think of was like, do you have a picture or video that I can share it? But then I called back to make sure that he's okay. Okay, so as I was saying, we are always looking for new stories, but it's also important not to just report like the news. That's why we focused on interesting material, on unique content, and we take pictures and videos ourselves and share them. And that's what made the difference. Some of them are not very interesting. Okay. Actually, the Antar thing is very famous now. Okay, so we got the blog running and we started getting more visitors, and I was very comfortable with blogging at some point, and how can I say that? Okay, freezing. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna get to this part. It was very important because people were like interacting with us and sharing our opinions and spreading it. So we were proud of that. But then we reached a point where you become known as a blogger. So you start getting a lot of invites from marketing agencies and companies, or you get brands that give you products that you need to sell out. Yeah, here you have to be careful because you have to preserve your credibility as a blogger. For example, once we got invited, a bunch of bloggers got invited to some dinner. It was a very fancy place, the food was great and everything. But then the next day I found out everyone had posted the same thing. So that damages your blog's image and your credibility as a blogger. Now, of course, I get invited to a zillion events. I don't go to all of them because I just pick what is interesting and appealing to me. I enjoy the food they serve, but I don't post about it. And it's not helping with my diet as well. Speaking of diet, I once decided to shape up. I said I'm gonna post about it so that it will motivate me or something. But then the next week a burger place opened up, so I said, I'm gonna go try it. And I checked in on Foursquare, and I forgot I had some of my blog readers on Foursquare, so Jarasna on Twitter, and he started saying everything. Also, what's important is when you do something wrong, when you post something offensive, or maybe you post something wrong, you get it from a piece of information that's wrong, it's good always to correct yourself and be clear and honest to your readers. No, don't just, delete it or remove it and like it never happened. Readers usually like honest bloggers. That's what I learned. Okay, now this is a funny story. Speaking of readers, the interaction with readers is very important. It could be a hassle sometime. I mean, at first you're not very popular, so you can post whatever you want, but you reach a stage where you have to be more and more responsible of your posts. This one, I was reading in the news that the guy, you know the guy, right?
No, nobody knows.
Yeah. So his son got kidnapped. I was, it was late at night, so I just posted that, إن شاء الله يلاقي له عش بترجع له ابنه. Okay, you guys are laughing now, but some of the comments were like, "No shubek, you're a cold-hearted bastard. The guy's son is getting kidnapped. Why are you saying that?" I still think it's funny, but this teaches you that you have to be a bit responsible as a blogger, especially when you start getting a lot of visitors. Okay. Now, aside from the humor and the fun, you also need to differentiate between criticizing, destructive criticism, and criticizing more like constructive criticism and attacking someone. Like, I'd be really harsh at first when I spot a bad customer service at some restaurant. And it happened that in one of the times I was visiting a Chinese place open in Jalidib, and the service was really bad. But the food was okay. So it was really bad what I wrote about the place. The next day I get the manager commenting on the post. He turned out to be the owner as well. He asked me can you come for a dinner so we can talk about everything? I'm like, no, I'm not doing this for free dinners, But he still insisted, so I went out of courtesy. And the guy turned out to be the owner of 6-7 restaurants in Lebanon. He's very famous and he has a theater for himself. And I even liked the other restaurants he had. So that taught me, we became good friends, and he invites me to stuff now. But the thing is that it taught me that to be less harsh and a bit more easy when you're criticizing someone, because it's not just, attack someone and that's it. You have to, that's what I learned mostly while blogging, to become more and more responsible, receptive, and understanding of other people's opinions. And, but still when you, let me switch, okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Am I too late? No. Okay, so the part where I got the owner to comment on one of the posts, it could turn into a lawsuit in another country maybe. And it happened with one of my friends. He criticized a restaurant and got himself into a lawsuit. So blogging could get you into trouble, but it's mostly for political bloggers or activists. At a personal level, you just need to be a bit responsible and set your priorities right. That's about it. Now, with everything that I've said, why do I keep doing this? Honestly, because I'm proud of what I'm doing, and it feels really good when you have a lot of people reading you, sharing your opinions, listening to you, and you become yourself more receptive to what they have to say. Plus, and that's what's most important for me, is that I get to portray a positive image of Lebanon and have a different take on things, on news, add some humor to it, you know, because with everything that's happening, all the negative things in Lebanon, I think it's a good change. So any chance to have a positive impact on society is something that encourages you to blog. And that's why I kept doing it, because I just loved it and I couldn't stop it anymore. And one of the things, for example, that also, aside from the free dinners and invites and stuff, is that you get mentioned by a lot of news. Like one of our posts got mentioned in Washington Post, for example, which is amazing, honestly. It was about when they censored the Spielberg name from the Tintin movie. It's as if that was the only movie Spielberg did in Lebanon. Well, anyway, it got mentioned in the Washington Post and caused a controversy and stuff. We got also mentioned, and I was asked for a report to be included in a report for BBC, and not to mention all the local media news. But what's most important to me is that I was able to portray a positive image of Lebanon somewhere. Like, for example, if I talk about Akkar, everyone will think, you know, burning tires and Islamists and terrorists. Well, I went there many times this year, and it's one of the most beautiful areas in Lebanon, but no one knows about that. And the people are the nicest, and it has nothing to do with religion. So that's one aspect I'm proud to have achieved. Okay, now talking about the Lebanese blogosphere. They're not really active. There are a lot of blogs, like 500 blogs, but I don't think there are more than 20 that are really, really active or regular, or that I know of. Why? I don't know. That's picture because everyone is busy partying. So they don't have time to blog. But what I'm saying, if you think that you have something to say, you have a say on everything, if you believe that your opinion matters in certain topics and that you can blog about it and make a change, I think you should go for it, because there's a lot of potential in Lebanon, and there are very few blogs. So, and that's a motivational, those are some of the blogs in Lebanon, my friends, most of them, and that's a motivational poster for all of you to blog. Okay? And thank you. And thank you for Maya for the presentation.